Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good lunch break and you're back with us nice and refreshed and ready to go for the afternoon session. We've got a really exciting afternoon for you. We're starting off with a briefing around the Future of Flight Challenge, which is, I'm sure you'll all agree, is a fascinating area of transport innovation that's changing really, really rapidly right now. We're then going to have a panel talking about future funding, how you move on into the later stages of the innovation journey, what help is available to you and what tactics you might want to adopt. We're then going to talk a little bit about going out, so how you work with DIT, so Department for International Trade, and other partners in innovation to help you sell, not just in the UK, but overseas, going out abroad. And finally, last but not least, we're going to have some CSA awards. So our new Chief Scientific Advisor at DFT, Professor Sarah Sharples from Nottingham, who joined us in the summer, is going to present 3 awards for some of the best innovations that we've funded over the last year.
Great, thank you so much, James. So without further ado, before I welcome Hannah Chu, could I just remind you to continue to use the Q&A function if you do have any questions, and we'll aim to answer as many of those as possible. So Hannah, can I bring up Hannah, who's a colleague of mine at the Connected Places Catapult. Hannah is Director of Air Mobility, and she's going to be talking to you about our work in Future of Flight domain. Thanks, Hannah.
Good afternoon. My name's Hannah Chu, and I'm Director of Air Mobility at the Connected Places Catapult. I've got the pleasure this afternoon to introduce you to the Air Mobility Directorate and highlight some of the activities that we've currently got going on that I think will be interesting to you today at our Transport Expo. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I'm currently up with one of our airports working with them. So I've recorded this message to be with you today. Please do reach out if there's anything you would like to know more about following the event, if I haven't covered anything that's of interest to you. So first of all, I thought I'd give you an introduction to air mobility and what that means. The easiest way to introduce air mobility is to, first of all, think about what air mobility isn't. So here, demonstrated by this aeroplane, air mobility and aviation are not the design and manufacture of the vehicle. That is aerospace, and there are other organisations working very closely with the aerospace manufacturing and design supply chain to secure and enable our UK value to be anchored in this country. What air mobility is everything else that goes around the vehicle that enables it to fly safely, carrying goods or passengers from their destination to their point of arrival. Air mobility includes everything from when you book your ticket to when you arrive at your hotel, and all the systems that keep you safe and efficiently moving at that time. However, these two things cannot be taken in isolation. When you think about how an aeroplane interacts with the airport, how important the way the fuel systems work and interact, the timing in the different travel networks that need to be aligned, there is a lot of synergy between the two things. And therefore, these two industries are in constant communication about how best to innovate, particularly as you'll see later, when we start to think about sustainable and clean energy systems for our aerospace industry. So we're on the cusp of the third revolution of aviation. The first revolution was the Wright brothers taking to the sky for the first time in the last century. Following that, the second revolution was when we invented the jet engine. That became a reality, and we were able to fly transatlantic. That made the world a smaller place and opened up exploration to many of the world's citizens. And now we're moving towards a revolution for flexible aviation. So aviation that brings us closer together, connecting intra-city and intercity, bringing communities that are currently hard to reach to touch with our cities and areas. It will enable us to bring goods and services to areas that are hard to reach as well. And we can see from the good work that's being carried out in the Future Flight Challenge, for example, and through the UK Space Agency funding, that there is a lot of good being done already with the introduction of these services. So today, I'm going to give you a summary of the activities that we've done to date within the Air Mobility Directorate, and we're going to look forward. I thought I'd share our aviation journey with you to start with. So back in 2016, 2017, we've launched our Drone Pathfinder activity. This was based on some work we'd done, funded by Department for Transport, that launched the programme. Since then, there's been a number of different activities we've been involved in, funded by various bodies, working closely with the industry action groups that are convened by BEIS, working closely with the Pathfinder funders, who are the DFT. And more recently, we have invested our strategic funds from our core funding into some projects as well. In 2020, the Future Flight Challenge launched, and we were successful in 6 Future Flight Challenge projects. So we're currently working to deliver those. And as we speak, the phase 3 of Future Flight Challenge is open, and we are currently working with our collaborators to put exciting bids into that challenge competition. We've also had an uplift in the Pathfinder funding to generate the Pathfinder Catalyst. I'm going to talk about that very shortly. This year, we're also delivering a programme called Zero Emissions Fuel Infrastructure, or ZEFI, as it's fondly known. This is another programme funded by the DFT, the Department for Transport. So within the Air Mobility Directorate, we have 2 large areas of activity. We have the flexible aviation, integrating future technology and novel vehicle types into our airspace. And we've got our aviation sustainability, so looking at commercial aviation as it stands today and how we can make that more sustainable and economically viable given the climate we find ourselves in. These projects speak to both of those areas. I've highlighted the projects I will look to during this presentation. So first I want to talk about the Pathfinder and the Catalyst programme. This really pulls together the drone industry as a whole. So it's bringing together our hardware, software and service providers, many of whom are UK based, and our SMEs, small and medium enterprises, with brilliant technologists and entrepreneurs that need to get a foothold in order for us to really anchor the value in the UK of them. We have industry and industry bodies, so large companies that are generating the systems that these SMEs are involved in, and the industry bodies such as the British Aviation Group, who I had the pleasure of being with last week, and just today I was talking to Graham from RPAS, who is the industry body for the drones industry. So we're very well connected into these places. And then finally, government, local authorities and the regulator. So when we think about looking to the skies for this third revolution of aviation, we have to think about the safety of these systems. We know that the aerospace industry takes years to change. We know that the regulator has incrementally developed after incidents have happened, putting in activities that make us safe. So as new vehicles come online, they have to go through the rigorous regimes and collection of evidence to make sure before they fly that nothing will go wrong. However, with new aviation, with these new classes of vehicle, we are looking to use airspace like we have never done before in an unprecedented way. And that means that we need to look for different ways or faster ways to enable that evidence of safety to be provided. And it's the regulator's job to make sure that that is robust and that we are safer citizens. So we're working very closely with the regulator to understand the needs of the community and the needs from the safety side of things. So the Catalyst Pathfinder is sponsored by the Department for Transport, and it fits into this programme of work that pulls all of these things together. A key principle of the Pathfinder is to drive adoption of the drone industry. So we're recognised as neutral within the sector. We're not a commercial entity, which means that we can behave in that way. We've established an academic network, and we have a history of close engagement with all of the people that I've just described. So what we're trying to do in this programme is demonstrate an increased understanding of the benefits that drones can bring to your business, increased understanding of regulatory environment in which drones can operate, and increase the adoption of drone technology for business needs through demonstrations. We have a series of Pathfinder challenges that are currently running. These include long linear BV loss beyond visual line of sight, large area surveys, urban use, and one-to-many drones. The challenge around BV loss beyond visual line of sight operations is that the pilot cannot see the vehicle. It's being piloted from a different place. Now, currently, when we use our low airspace, the kind of airspace that you might think of a hang glider flying in, for example, that is done by visual line of sight. So when you see people using drones, when you're out for your weekend walk, they are flying them, they can see where they're flying. This means that you are limited somewhat to what you can do with your drone, because actually drones have a battery life and a capacity to do things that might take them far beyond where you can see them. And this is where the regulatory challenge is coming in. So the Pathfinder was set up in 2017 to achieve routine BV loss in the UK and work with the consortia and with the regulator to try and make that a reality. You can see on the right there a number of different safety challenges that the regulator needs the operators to address. This year, we are working with the organisations that currently use drones with visual line of sight, so VLOS, so remotely piloted, but piloted such that the pilot can see them. And what we want to do here is transfer the knowledge, drive the adoption, and demonstrate the increased benefits that the drone sector has to the other sectors that it can be adopted into. We're doing this by calling research meetings, by convening people, understanding opportunities and challenges, identifying potential use cases, and understanding at a high level the business case that the industry can then consider to take drones on board. We're holding workshops and webinars. We have a regular Catalyst Community Day, and we're also using the demonstrators that we're running through this year to convene people and to try to identify those potential obstacles and barriers that will potentially prevent the uptake of drones before they become too prohibitive. With that in mind, we're developing a toolkit and a series of demonstrations that will enable us to conduct readiness assessment tool for organisations that have specific plans to implement drones, look at the industry and produce best practice guidance for the adoption of drones, and showcase drones solutions within their sector so they can see how drones, physically see how drones could be benefiting them. So the very first programme that we ran in this was our housing sector programme. This was a part of the Catalyst, so the Department for Transport sponsored this, but we worked with Yorkshire Housing, Vantage UAV, the RPAS industry body, and the PropTech Innovation Network to carry out this piece of work. We did a number of demonstration days collecting the data, and the objective was to showcase the benefits of drones for inspection and maintenance. So this was relevant not only to the housing sector, but really to anybody that has an asset management thing to consider. The idea here is to articulate the size of the prize and share this as widely as possible with other potential end users, such that the industry can make the most of this new and exciting opportunity. We're also looking through the PropTech Innovation Network to do a lab such that people can come and learn how to introduce drones into there. So I'm going to show you a brief video of the output of this study. There is a case study available for you on the website if you would like to see it.
Connected Places Catapult is the UK's innovation accelerator for cities, transport and places. As part of the DFT-funded Drone Pathfinder Catalyst programme, we're here today with Yorkshire Housing and Vantage UAV to demonstrate the benefits of using drones to inspect buildings and property. The inspection, maintenance and repair of buildings and property is a major cost for organisations, especially housing associations.
So a typical building like this one, to get up to the different levels of roof that we have on the building, we would need scaffolding, we'd need maybe a cherry picker, we'd obviously have our staff, our surveyors working at height as well, which obviously introduce costs and danger. And of course this building is occupied, we have residents in there, so it's quite intrusive.
This is where drones come in, as they allow you to capture high quality imaging and data without the need for unsafe manual inspection at height.
We're looking at whether or not we have leaks in the roof, there are cracked tiles or more causant factors. We also are taking videos, and we will merge all of this together to allow us to create two-dimensional and a three-dimensional image of the building, and that output will allow Yorkshire Housing to have complete digitalised representation of their asset.
It's something we've been wanting to do, but really didn't have the partners in place to enable us to do that. But from what I've seen so far, we can get much closer, a lot of detail of the property, and from a Yorkshire Housing point of view, that means we can plan more effectively for how we repair and maintain our buildings in the future.
Vantage UAV are one of the many drone service providers on the market today, and the market's expected to grow significantly over the next few years. To find out more about how the Connected Places Catapult is helping unlock the benefits of drone services, please get in touch.
So thank you to David and the team for that video. I'd now like to take a look at a project that's not looking at flexible aviation initially. This is the ZEFI, Zero Emission Fuel Infrastructure project. And this is looking at current commercial aviation. So the kind of airport experience we would currently expect today. There is a programme currently ongoing looking at how to design and manufacture a vehicle that does not use current kerosene-based fuels, but would use sustainable aviation fuels or hydrogen, be that liquid or solid, and also looking at EV, so battery-powered vehicles. So the ZEFI project is exploring the impact and requirements for introducing hydrogen and battery-powered aircraft into airports. It's looking to identify the need for the development of aviation policy and standards for the handling of the fuels and the power at the airports. It's developing a roadmap for integration and implementation of the fuel within our airports, and it's identifying the actions and investments airports may need in order to incorporate hydrogen electric into their daily operations. Alongside this work, we've also run a Transport Research and Innovation Grant, or a TRIG programme, and you will be hearing a lot more about our TRIGs, including the ZEFI TRIG, through today. This has identified challenges to be overcome, and a cohort has been selected and are currently working on their solutions with a view to stimulating investment and adoption within this space. So the scope of this project is from when the fuel arrives on site until the fuel reaches the vehicle, and how the fuel will get to site. Alongside this, we're looking at sustainable airports as a whole topic area. So looking at the integration of these new solutions, not only from the fuel of the vehicle perspective, but also looking at the whole transport ecosystem, including the concept of airports as energy hubs, for example. We're looking at integrating transport modes where airports are part of a physically and digitally connected transport system. We're looking to help push the paradigm that when you think about a transport system, when you think about connecting places, you now include aviation within your thought process. So often current commercial aviation is thought of as an addition to, rather than part of, the transport system as it stands. Green mobility corridors between cities and airports, which offer the opportunity for decarbonisation and modal shift, improving journey times and passenger experience. Looking to deliver data discovery, management and dissemination activities, and to map out the innovation opportunities that are currently ongoing, and accelerating the digitisation of solutions that alter patterns of mobility, particularly through collaborative aviation data sharing. Also importantly, as you'll see later, we're exploring the human-centred or human-connected design challenges of future airports. One of the activities we're currently conducting is an internally funded project looking at the air transport infrastructure sustainability action plan. We have mapped out the customer journey, and we carried out a workshop in July with a number of key stakeholders in this space. We'll be publishing the action plan ahead of COP, which is happening next month. And this action plan looks to inform of where the opportunities for short and medium term innovation and operational improvement can make a difference to the aviation sustainability of the airport, outside of the change of the fuel and the impact that has on the plane. We've also launched our Future of Air Mobility Accelerator. This has kicked off. The applicants are in, and we're just waiting for the inaugural launch event on the 3rd of November to announce those applications that have been successful. Please do come and join us. We'll be at Diatec for the day, looking at the future of this activity. So our accelerator programme, as you will hear elsewhere today, is offering the level of support that enables SMEs to align with industry innovation frameworks and reduce time from market for their disruptive technologies. I know from being at the show that I was at today that we have got some fantastic SMEs in this country and a huge opportunity for them to export if we can support them to grow and thrive through this kind of programme. This is a challenge-led programme with clearly defined challenges that the partners and the consortium members have come together to agree on. These partners will also help select the participants in the programme, which will run for 6 months and provide the SMEs with the support that they need to demonstrate their capabilities, not only from their technology point of view, but from a business perspective as well, enabling them to secure long-standing commercial contracts. Connected Places will design and facilitate the programme to each of the SMEs' individual needs. This will be a bespoke programme for them, so they can test and try their solutions along defining that route to market. CPC works with testbed partners to integrate the testing ecosystem into the programme. We're delighted to have key partners on board in the ecosystem in this cohort. And the challenge of this year is looking at data-driven aviation, airport systems, and advanced air mobility. One programme I wanted to draw your attention to quickly, this is a programme that's currently running, but it's a skills programme that was match funded between DFT and industry. And it's looked at co-creating a series of problems that a number of PhD students are now tackling through a PhD programme. What's different about this, and what really inspires me about it, is the fact that the PhD students are themselves all at different universities and working in different groups. This means that when they come together, they're bringing a richness of thought and collaboration. And I do see this as really beginning to build the future leaders for our aviation space. I look to the future positively that we may see more of this. So this slide, I want to just demonstrate to you the breadth of activities that we do across CPC. So I've shared with you some of the technical work that's going on with the air mobility team in our directorate. But actually at CPC, at the Connected Places Catapult, we are a much wider reaching team. We have the SME team, and they run the accelerator and the programs related to that. We've got our human connected design team that are helping us consider how we can best develop place to take human factors into consideration. We've got a business modelling team, and they are working with us to look at demand modelling and agent-based modelling, such that organisations are able to make good decisions about where they want to do their use cases in this developing market, such that it leads to faster and more fruitful commercialisation path. So this slide is here for you to come back to. Do reach out if there's anything that you would like to know more about. I just wanted to pause briefly to say express my gratitude to the Air Mobility team. The directorate is really brand new. I've been in post 5 months. We have a team lead joining us very shortly. He's just working out his notice period as we speak. Chris and David were with us before I started and have really kept the continuity as we've grown and developed. And I'm delighted that we've welcomed so many new people to the organisation that have such an eclectic and rich background and really bring thought diversity to the way that we look at our problem solving. So thank you to the team. And then something that's I'm very passionate about is, you will see I'll put something about ED&I in every slide. For today, I just wanted to start the dialogue around ED&I. I know this morning there was a panel discussion and I was so disappointed I couldn't dial in. I wasn't able to get a room that was quiet enough, but I would have really embraced the opportunity to be involved in that conversation. I know it would have been a good one to watch. Connected Places Catapult are taking part in the Future Flight Challenge ED&I and STEM Advocates team, working across the £300 million programme that Future Flight Challenge is. There are 240 organisations currently engaged with the Future Flight Challenge. There is a huge opportunity within that challenge to drive the thought processes required for opening up our new aviation industry. We're at day one of this, and we can build a different kind of future rather than perhaps the stereotype that we're used to. I want the team at Connected Places Catapult, and at the highest level, we have commitment to positive action for ED&I, which is why it's important for me to mention it today, and for us to do things like point out to people running panels, for example, when they have got diversity missing, or introduce people from our community that they might consider instead, such that we are providing role models for people who are considering coming into our industry, or young people who are in our industry, help entice them to say they can see that they're part of the talent pipeline that is being developed and that they have a place at the table as they develop through their career. And another key part of this is raising awareness in the aviation community around human connected design. So 15 to 20% of our population is disabled in some way, be that a physical disability that you can see, or perhaps a neurodiverse disability that means that they interact with the space differently to you or I. Now, when we design, we tend to design for the 80%, but we're not considering the needs of the rest of our community. And that's such a shame. So what we're hoping to do through Future Flight and through engaging really closely with other directorates in Connected Places Catapult is raise awareness of the fact that we are starting a new industry here. We should be doing it right from the start. We shouldn't be retrofitting in 10 years' time when the lobby is strong enough. So I'm delighted to see that there is some work in this area. I think there needs to be more. And next time we meet, I hope we'll be able to tell you a bit more about what we're doing proactively about that. So I want to thank you for your time today. I'm very grateful for your attention. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person, and I look forward to meeting you at the next event that I will make every effort to be at.